leap of faith.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me I must love this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Film Optix, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network, where we discuss film, TV, and everything pop culture related. I'm your host, Christian, and today I'm joined by a special guest, a new member of the Film Optix podcast. We have my good friend, Parker. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, it's been a nice day of work. You know, it's Friday. It's Friday. There we go. Yeah.
It is Friday. And boy, it does feel like it. It's been a long work week, but a good one. Nice and productive.
Yeah. I mean, you're wearing a Joe Burrow jersey, so
I am. I had to represent because Joe Burrow is healthy, and they just shared a video of him walking around. I'm rewind a little bit. My name is Parker Phillips, and I am an enormous Bengals fan. Along with a couple of good buddies of ours that also live down here in Nashville.
Unfortunately.
Spoken like a true Steelers fan.
Hey, man. We got to cheer. But seriously, congratulations to Joe Burrow. You know, doing his thing. You know, he's getting out there. He got hurt last season, like really, really bad.
Yeah. But it's looking better now. If only we can, just do the right things, make the right moves from here on out, and who knows, we could have some stuff to cheer about finally.
Yeah. I mean, besides the Bengals jersey, so I got to get that.
Everyone's a critic.
That is true.
Which is why we're here.
That's exactly why we're here. Today we are reviewing Godzilla versus Kong, the new movie from Warner Brothers that drops on HBO Max and in theaters today. So for the first 30 days, if you have HBO Max, you can watch Godzilla vs. Kong free of charge. It will be on the streaming service for the first 30 days. And then after, you can only catch it in theaters. But by gum, this is a movie you don't want to miss going to the theaters. I've seen it twice. The first time I actually watched it at home, Warner Brothers sent me a screener, and I was like, I was trying to figure out, like, do I watch it or you can only watch a movie first once in your entire life. Yep. And I was like, do I want to watch this in the theater for my first time going back to the movies? Or do I just crack and watch the screener? Well, I watched the screener. Because I was like, what am I going to do on it? It was like a Tuesday night or something like that. And yeah, it was Tuesday night, and I was going to go see it. I was a day behind. I was so close. And I was like, I just cracked. I'm like, screw it. We're just going to put it on. But I still watched it in theaters the day after, and it was amazing. Like, fan-friggin-tastic. But a little bit of housekeeping before we get into today's review. You can listen to this podcast on platforms around the internet, and make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X for all of our latest announcements. And of course, cheers. We're drinking a little bit of Heineken right now.
Yeah.
Nothing, we're not getting too swifty out here. Just one beer.
Only Swift.
That is very, very true. But let me, we'll tell the listeners the synopsis, the story so far of Godzilla versus Kong. So this is really quick. This is the fourth installment of the new Monsterverse. So we have Godzilla 2014 that came out, of course, in 2014. And then Kong Skull Island came out after that. That is technically a prequel to Godzilla 2014. And then we had Godzilla King of the Monsters, which came out, was that last year? Was that last summer?
Yeah, I believe so.
Was it last summer? 2 summers ago.
Might have been 2 summers ago.
2 summers ago.
Because we kind of skipped over a year there.
Honestly, that's very fair.
Yeah. A lot of that stuff just, it feels like it should have happened last year, but it's like, oh, wait, no, it just happened, the last year that I remember things going on. Yeah. Like movies being made.
Honestly, It's like, wait, it's March again? And it's like, it never was. It's always been March. Like this entire year, it's always been March, which is really, really funny. But I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, it is. So we had King of the Monsters come out 2 summers ago. It seems like forever ago, but then again, it seems like last summer. And then of course we have Godzilla versus Kong leading up to the big shebang and trying to figure out where do we go from here, honestly. But let's just read the synopsis here really quick. The epic next chapter in the cinematic Monsterverse pits two of the greatest icons in motion picture history in motion picture history against one another, the fearsome Godzilla and the mighty Kong, with humanity caught in the balance. Directed by Adam Wingard. We also have a few stars on hand. We have Alexander Skarsgård, Millie Bobby Brown, Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyrese Henry as well, and we have Fire Fist from.
That was the first thing that I thought of when I saw him in the movie. But I always like seeing him. I think he's got a really funny wit to him whenever he talks, and I just can't help but think of his performance in Deadpool. Deadpool 2.
He's from New Zealand, so he's that really it's not spectacles, it's spectacles, and it's very it's high pitched, but it's not. Yeah. It's not British accent, and then it's not Australian either. It's like a really weird hybrid of the two, kind of, when it's with its own like octave. It's really strange, but I like it. It's very it's nice. But yeah, so we had Fire Fist in this as well. And this is written by Eric Pearson and Mac Borenstein. The initial release date, which was March 30th. The runtime of this movie is 1 hour and 53 minutes. So just under 2 hours, which isn't bad.
Not a bad watch at all. Really, really smooth.
Yeah. Like it was pretty
like time wise.
Yeah, no, that, and I mean, I thought it was paced pretty well for what it was, but we'll get into that here in a bit. So, and also the Rotten Tomato score is the audience score currently sitting at 95, I believe, and IMDb has it sitting at a 6.9 out of 10. So there's always that. But I wanted to get your first initial reactions, Parker. I've been yapping this entire time. I'm long-winded. I recorded another podcast prior to this, so there's always that. But I wanted to get your initial thoughts on the movie before we get a little bit into spoilers.
Yeah, I would love to jump in. So I think the 6.9 is that's pretty accurate. Like I would just go ahead and give it a 7 out of 10 because I really enjoyed it. But I enjoyed it for the overall spectacle of it. I think it was a really good versus movie. Like they introduced a good amount of development on either side of the battle leading up, and there were a couple of like tiffs here and there between them throughout the film. We got it wasn't just like a lot of nothing and then now they're gonna fight. It was a constant battle between the two figures pretty much throughout the whole movie until leading up to the big fight at the end. But where I fell off was with a lot of the human characters and their storylines going on. I mean, mad props and respect to all the actors and writers involved in making the story and everything. But I just personally, I didn't feel like I cared a whole lot about what was going on with the humans going through the story. I was finding myself more interested whenever Kong was on the screen or Godzilla was on the screen or something was going on in that realm. But that was just my initial reaction, and I actually watched it again, and I fell asleep during a portion. But it was mainly again like when it was nothing but the human stories going on the screen. And I wanted to get into that part of it, but I just couldn't. I just fell off with it. But then again, like I said, anytime that there was a big action sequence or anything involving Kong or Godzilla, I was 100% invested. Thought it was done really, really well. All the CGI was awesome. The visuals were great. Good color palette throughout the whole movie, I thought. But yeah, that's my initial 2 cents.
So I have to ask you: Are you Team Kong or are you Team Godzilla?
Oh, okay. Are we spoilering or are we not?
Yeah, hold on really. So for anyone who is, well, actually, let me give my first initial thoughts, and then we'll kind of get into it.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I would say, just to answer your question, I would initially say that I'm Team Kong.
Okay, that's the correct answer.
Yeah.
You're the what the fuck out that door. No, it's all right. But a lot of my friends on Twitter, Leo, shout out from Leo from Geekly Goods. He's the Kong. No, sorry, he's Godzilla all day, all day. He really, and I enjoy both, but I do agree with you on a lot of points. The human characters for kaiju movies have always been just less interesting, and it just doesn't really work all that well.
Yeah.
And but like, besides, we'll get into Gia's character with Kong. I felt like that worked because there's more of like a relationship there.
Yeah,
but it's like,
I did, like I said earlier, I did like her. I think that was one of the good points for me when it came to human characters.
yeah. But it's like, I did enjoy it. Like, I enjoyed it both times. I mean, obviously seeing it on a in the movie theater was way better, just because, you have these, like, God knows how tall they are. I can't even remember. It seems that they get bigger and bigger every single movie. But it was just great to see them on the big screen, and even like being in the theater, like there were quite a few people there. Like, I mean, I kept my distance, but there was like, I think 2 or 3 chairs between me and the next people next to me. But it was, for what it was, as packed as it could be without breaking COVID protocol. And
Yeah.
it was very, it was great. I don't know. It was just nice to be back in the theater. Nice to get out, to see a new movie. And I think this is honestly the perfect movie for people to start going back into the theaters. So it's like, I really did enjoy it so far.
Well, and as movie lovers in general, like, a big part of why we love why we love watching movies is the experience of going to the theater and, sitting down in front of the big screen with the big surround sound system, and all that. Just it's a real vibe, and it's really cool that we're able to start getting back into that.
Amen. I was missing it so much. It's just, and I didn't realize how much I missed it. But I mean, with this movie, I mean, there were some human characters I really liked. The others not as much. Like, obviously, like I said, everyone is there for the monsters. Everyone is there for the big fights, and we got a lot of that. And there was actually one of my friends, Zach Pope. He has his own YouTube channel. Shout out to him as well. One of his friends saw 2 different versions. There was more of the monster story and the one with more of the human story. Well, he said it looks like they went with the one with more of the monster story, which is what people want for these kind of movies. Like, we saw it in, did you see King of the Monsters?
I actually did not see that one yet.
Okay. The monsters are good.
That's what I heard.
But that's about it. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah,
Did that one also have Millie Bobby Brown in it?
Yeah, yeah. That was her first appearance in one of the Godzilla movies. She was, I mean, you would see 2 different sides of the humans. One more so. I feel like it is more of a Kong movie, a King Kong movie, than it is a Godzilla movie. Because
King of the Monsters.
No, sorry, Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh yeah.
Godzilla King of
the
the
Monsters. I definitely agree with.
Yeah, Godzilla King of the Monsters. Obviously, like, Kong was in it for like a split second, like on a screen, as they were talking about like how many Titans are rising out there, like 17 and counting. But then that was it. Well, I mean, like, it does tell a nice little story. But I generally agree with you when it comes to the to just everything. Like, as of right now, I gave it I think a C+, which is like a 78, 78, 77 around there out of 100. So I mean, it was all right. But let's get into spoilers. So that is your warning, everyone. If you've not heard that, again, we are getting into spoilers. So
spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
But yeah, so we're just going to do a little bit of a movie breakdown here about halfway into this recording. So, we see, so a little bit of backstory, since you haven't seen Godzilla King of the Monsters. There was this this device that Millie Bobby Brown's character Maddie, her mom was creating it to communicate with the Titans like Mothra, Ghidorah, Rodin, and it's kind of like a sonar, like a echo location frequency to either like calm the monsters or make them really upset. And that was kind of like part of what King of the Monsters is. And you kind of see it a little bit in this film with Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
Because during the beginning, when you see Brian Tyree Henry, when he's working for Apex, and he runs into like that orb that's giving off like that frequency.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why Godzilla was attacking. But they don't really tell you that. So it's like if you didn't like it's so subtle.
If you didn't see the first, okay, that definitely makes a lot more sense to me now.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, it is what it is, but it was very it was nice. I picked up on it only because I watched the other 3 movies prior, like a few days prior.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so between Brian Tyree Henry's character and everything else that happened, it was I liked it. I liked Gia with Kong, the little deaf girl. I honestly think she gave probably the best human character performance next to like her caretaker, honestly. And then, but I really liked, the little ragtag, like, Brian Tyree Henry, we had Fire Fist and Millie Bobby Brown. Like it kind of felt
and Brian Tyree Henry had some funny moments. He did.
Tap water.
Tap water. That and I don't know why this probably isn't one of the funniest things that he did in the film, but like made me crack up when it was super silent and they were in the Mechagodzilla chamber and he just goes, ah! he didn't even move really, like at all. It was just he was like staring at a fixed point and just. Ah!
It was like, I'm not gonna lie, like when I first saw it, like at home, like on my couch, I was like, it startled me, but it still startled me when I saw it the second time. But people loved his character. Like my audience loved his character 100%. Like, I mean, there was more of a applause afterwards because it was all these new trailers coming out. We got a second Suicide Squad.
There's the distinction.
It's like, you know what, David Ayer?
it's like the difference between Spider-Man or the Spider-Man.
Or Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like people do not acknowledge the. It's like to drop the. It's cleaner. But yeah, so we got a new trailer for that. Like people really enjoyed it. But yeah, the audience for Godzilla vs. Kong, they really loved it. Like I don't know who was really Team Kong or Team Godzilla. I was, of course, Team Kong, even though our boy sadly loses.
You know what though? I was waiting for this to get brought up. I don't know if I can definitively say that Godzilla won. Because here's the thing. Godzilla did beat Kong. He did. But then Mechagodzilla beat Godzilla. He did. And then Kong beat Mechagodzilla.
Are you putting this in football terms? Oh, well, the Steelers faced against the Bengals.
Hey, what was that like, few inches over Big Ben's head, 14 seconds into the game.
I don't know what you're talking
about. The Browns?
I know what you're talking about. I've wiped that from my memory.
Well, it happened. It's on the internet. It will live there forever.
Unfortunately. Unfreaking fortunately. But yeah, like I do agree. Like, actually I tried to pull the same thing with my friend. I was like, well, technically speaking, if you really think about it, doing a little like verbal gymnastics here or there.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, like he loves Godzilla. He said, Godzilla is king. That's what he kept telling me. I'm like, which is true. It's like, I mean, I love Godzilla. Don't get me wrong.
But then at the end, they had like a moment of respect between the two of them where it was like, okay, I won't, like Godzilla was like, oh, all right, I won't question anymore. Like I'm just going to go off. I'm just going to fuck off. You can be king of, this side. I'll be king of this side.
So Kong's the king of Hollow Earth. I wanted to ask you, what did you think of Hollow Earth?
I thought that was really cool. I like that we got like a little bit of backstory on the existence of Skull Island, you know? Like how like where the hell all that shit came from. You know, where
Yeah.
Just where the dinosaurs came from, where all the extra kaijus and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It was nice to see that.
Yeah, it was like I think they said like the birthplace of the Titans. And like I did like that. I wish that was another gripe. I really wish they would have gone like more into it, because like they kind of go into like the lore of Godzilla and King of the Monsters, but like dude, I'm telling you, there's so much going on in Godzilla King of the Monsters. Like you have the human characters, and it's like there's like all of these kaijus, like these titans rising up and, you know, trying to answer to like the Alpha Titan, which was Ghidorah, because they kind of explained that Ghidorah wasn't really from Earth, and he was kind of more so like an alien.
Yeah.
And that's why that was like the humans released Ghidorah. He was like in this frozen ice cap.
Okay.
And Charles Dance's character, which he does fucking nothing in that film, nothing whatsoever. Him and Maddie's mother released Ghidorah, which, like, you know, throws the entire world into chaos and whatnot. And, you know, Godzilla and all these other monsters are responding to like the Alpha Titan, and it goes into like Mothra's in the movie. Then you have Rodan, and then you have Godzilla, Ghidorah, and like, I mean, and there's just so much, and everything kind of gets like this lore kind of gets buried between everything else. But like, I mean, the ending fight is cool for it, but like you have to get through so much stuff. It's like watching Batman v Superman just to watch him face out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, for back to not King of the Monsters, excuse me, Godzilla versus Kong, and back to Hollow Earth, I really liked how it was kind of it was like the gravity was like flipped.
Yeah, that was really cool visual they got to play with. Yeah, it was awesome to see, and just interesting. We like people have done stuff like that before in different movies, like with Gravity.
Gravity.
Stay the hell away from me. But yeah, so we've gotten to see some stuff like that before, but it honestly like kind of combined that like more realistic interstellar gravity play with like Star Trek level visuals, you know?
Yeah.
Like when they were like shooting through the portal initially.
That was sweet.
That was really cool.
Yeah. It was like a net that almost kind of like caught them, and then they had to like break through.
Yeah.
Just to get to. Whew, man, oh man.
And then when it showed Godzilla drilling into the earth, and then instead of like, because my initial like my brain was like, oh, okay, they're gonna see the light shoot out from the ceiling, but then it's like, no, it's actually coming from up, because they're like technically upside down when they're in Hollow Earth. And then like, you know, Godzilla basically just had, or sorry, Kong rather, basically just had to jump down the hole, and then he's up.
Pretty much. That was really sweet. Like, I really like the Hong Kong battle. Like, cause I mean, Kong was born, like, you know, was created in the US, but it's like you have Godzilla, which was created, you know, in the East in Japan, but Godzilla was, from what I've understood and from what I've read from like my Godzilla lore, pretty much, it was kind of like a response to like, you know, what happened with Hiroshima and Nagasaki with like all the bombs and whatnot. Like, he is an atomic like being, and it's like nobody can beat Godzilla essentially. But in the old Congress Godzilla movie, Kong does win. I wish they would have done that. I mean,
I do too. Honestly, I think it almost feels like a cop out to have Godzilla win, because I just feel like they made Kong out to be like the underdog, you know, who is like, you know, Kong bows to no one. all that. It felt like they were playing him out more to be the hero, the one who beats him in the end, kind of like in Batman versus Superman.
Fuck that movie.
Or rather, I will. Its better counterpart, The Dark Knight Returns.
Thank you. You heard it right here,
Yes.
folks, on the Film Optix podcast. You hear that, Amanda? You hear that, Leo? You hear that, Zach? There you go. If you want to watch Batman versus Superman,
You watch The Dark Knight Returns.
exactly.
Because it's great.
I did not pay him to say that.
That is just not.
I got your 6-pack in the car. Don't worry.
All right, sweet. All right, just buy me a beer at dinner tonight.
Deal. It's like I like to be wined, dined, and 69. Oh my gosh. I think that was from The Office with Kevin.
I was thinking of South Park when he was like, "Ma'am, can we go get some food because I like to be wined and dined before I get."
That was hilarious. But yeah, anyway, back to the main.
Pardon, my friend.
No, it's fine. And it's an explicit podcast anyway.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, but still working.
Big boy podcast.
Yeah, big boy podcast. I really wish I had like on the soundboard where anytime someone like said a cuss word, it bleeps it out because it makes it that much funnier. It's like from that 70s show when
the seven the curse words or whatever.
The car show.
Yeah.
When
oh
Kitty's like, a car show. I don't want to go to a car show in Kenosha. I want 6 more months with my baby boy. She's like yelling at Red. And it's just like, she just builds up and builds up. And she's
remember that.
Way to go, dumbass. Absolutely loved it. I love that show so much. But yeah, back to Godzilla versus Kong. I do agree. They do make Kong to be more out the hero. And I think that's why I say that, this is more of a Kong movie than a Godzilla movie because, the boat scene was really, really awesome.
Yeah.
We see like, it's more of, it's Godzilla and his element versus, Kong. And it's like,
outside of his element.
Yeah. It's like, does Kong even know how to swim? Like as big as he is, being on Skull Island, I can't imagine that he actually knows how to swim properly, at least. But it was almost,
he's always just been in those waters that only come up to like his ankles.
Yeah, and I don't think I know it's like I think Kong is definitely more self-aware because it's like everyone's like, oh well, Godzilla can kill Kong. It's like, yeah, but like, can your boy sign language though?
Yeah,
which is really
and can your boy destroy a mechanized version of himself? No, but Kong can.
He literally wiped the floor with him. It was crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that was so cool when like he ripped his head off and like some of the like electronic spine came out and there's like oil dripping.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of the design of Mechagodzilla?
I really liked it. I think it looked cool. I liked all the little spines on his back, how they like each individually moved. When I first saw that they were doing Mechagodzilla, like when I first saw him on the screen, because honestly, I had no idea that they were going to drop that in this movie. I expected something, out of the monster lore book, would show up, but I was like, all right, hell yeah, Mechagodzilla, let's go. And it didn't look as silly as I would expect it to,
Yeah, because it's kind of, I've seen Mechagodzilla before, but it's been so long since I've seen the old school, the only other like Godzilla movie that I like watched, I think it was like the 90s Godzilla that like nobody liked.
Yeah.
But it's like the old.
Where it straight up looks like Power Rangers Megazords going at it.
But Megazords looked better.
Yeah.
Megazords definitely.
Those are just cooler.
It was, but yeah,
it's morphin' time. Tyrannosaurus.
Fucking loved it. It was so funny. But yeah, it's kind of like because everyone knew or had a feeling that Mechagodzilla was going to be in it because in the trailer there's like a split second where you see from like, you know, the human side on the ground where it's like a split second where you kind of see Mechagodzilla with like the red and like the silver metal.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone's like, oh, like is that Mechagodzilla? And of course we were right.
Yeah.
But it's like it's
That
wants,
showed up in Godzilla King of Monsters?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. And Kong versus Godzilla, that
Okay.
sorry,
No, that was my bad.
no, you're good, man. But yeah, it's so it was just like, oh, like everyone thought he was going to be in the movie because anytime there's like a movie where it's like, oh, so and so versus blah blah blah, like they're always going to end up teaming up. But like it was really cool to see them team up against Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, and it played out well. How like, you know, they woke up Kong and they were like, and Gia was like Godzilla is not the enemy. This guy is the enemy. You know, go deal with him.
Yeah. And it's like you could see Kong only trusted Gia, and I really like that relationship because it's like, you know, she was deaf. So that whole, you know, the whole audio, I guess, the noise part.
Yeah. The noise canceling whenever it was like from her perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if that was like the reason, but they just had a bond because Kong did save her.
Yeah.
So it's like Kong is aware of this kind of thing. I wish we would have saw him sign language a little bit more like we did in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, because that trilogy is fan freaking.
Yep.
But like with Gia, when they're going to Hollow, I almost said Middle Earth, excuse me, Hollow Earth.
They go to Middle Earth.
I mean, pretty much, but their own version of literally Middle
Like
Earth.
Smaug jumps into the fight.
But you know, she signs to Kong saying, "Hey, you know, like even though they're trying to lure Kong into like where Middle Earth, or God, I did it again, Hollow Earth is." And she's like, "Oh, your family might be down there," but through Kong Skull Island, Kong's parents were already killed off by like the skull crawlers, which is what you kind of saw in
and they're
this
like,
movie.
Yeah, they had him like in the Mechagodzilla chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like those were like the main villains that Kong faced in his movie, but it's like Kong really only got one movie prior to Godzilla versus Kong. Because again, like you had 2014 Godzilla, which I didn't really like all that much. He was literally in it for like 6 minutes, like throughout the entire like 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
But and then you got Kong Skull Island, and then Godzilla King of the Monsters. Like, I mean, they mention Kong for like a hot second, but then, you know, he's only on screen where they're like showing like a bunch of like bunch of monsters on screen. You're like, oh, there's Kong, and then they just cut away from it.
Yeah.
And then the next time you see him is in Godzilla versus Kong. But I guess that bears the question, where do they go from here? And this is actually one of the questions from our listeners. Jesse Acevedo had asked this question, one of my fraternity brothers. He said his question is, any sequels? If so, any theories that for what's next in the Monsterverse? I wanted to get your thoughts on it first, because I have an idea and people have kind of been talking about it on Twitter, but wanted to pick your brain a little bit.
So what exactly just my predictions of
like where they can go from here after Godzilla versus Kong? Because this is more of like the climax. So it's like,
yeah. So I mean, there's a few different directions. I mean, this kind of feels like their end game, like their Avengers end game, in the sense that like this story has now been told, you know. And this is what they've been building up to. So what do they do next? I don't know. I would kind of like to see a little more exploration on Kong's side, on like Skull Island, or maybe even like a Hollow Earth movie. You know, something that delves more into that world. I mean, who knows? There are plenty of other kaijus and things like that from Godzilla's realm that we haven't seen. So I don't know. I'm pretty up in the air on that, I guess.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I was actually talking to my friend Leo about this on his YouTube channel, and he was saying that there are a lot of different so there were so many monsters in Godzilla King of the Monsters that they weren't entirely sure. Like, he's not sure. Like, there are a few other villains out there, but it's like, you already put Rodan, Ghidorah, and Mothra and Godzilla all in the same movie.
Yeah.
When like the ultimate villain was Ghidorah. So it should have just been Godzilla versus Ghidorah at the end. And then you could have brought in Mothra afterwards, and then Rodan, and then there's a few others I'm blanking the names on. There's like a cyber cat, I think, I can't really remember. And there's also like Mecha Ghidorah as well. But from my memory, I'm sure there's others out there, but he feels like they could have, taken those out of King of the Monsters and, put them in their own films after, because like I said before, like in King of the Monsters, there's 17 Titans and rising and counting. So it's 5 years after it's 10 year span. So 10 years since Godzilla first revealed himself to the world, from Godzilla 2014 to King of the Monsters. It's been 5 years. And then another 5 years from King of the Monsters to Godzilla versus Kong. So it's like, he appears during these certain times, but it's like, I don't know. There was a lot of people on Twitter saying that they could do like a Pacific Rim and Titans type of deal.
Yeah.
Because they were kind of talking about that for a bit.
That's not a bad thought, because that's also like when you watch something like Pacific Rim, you have to like ask yourself, oh, okay, like, are these kaijus, like, are they pretty much Godzilla like type monsters? They could easily exist in the same universe.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but I mean, to answer Jesse's question, that's pretty much, I think that's pretty much what I would do. I think Pacific Rim would be really cool. There's a Pacific Rim movie on Netflix, I think.
Maybe something where like the what are they called? The Jaegers. They come after Godzilla and Kong.
Possibly. Yeah, because I mean, towards the end of the movie, we do see them go their separate ways there, but
yeah,
it is. I mean, it is what it is. But overall, like, I really did enjoy this movie. Nice little Easter eggs too. I mean, with Kong and the ancient weapon from his ancestors, which we didn't really get too much of a backstory on. But
that's why I think it'd be cool to see a Hollow Earth thing that could give us a little bit more backstory behind that. That was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty. And then he's swinging around that old,
like his version of like getting Stormbreaker.
Yeah, in a way, it just doesn't come back. He's got to go fetch it.
Yep.
But I mean, it was really cool, them working together, Godzilla charging he does show intelligence.
Yeah. But
it's like, I guess Kong is more human intelligence, because like he is aware of things that are going on.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. But yeah, the shots, like the CGI was amazing, especially on Godzilla. Just like all this, the scales and like the roughness, the slits of his nostrils. It was good stuff. I mean, like you said, he drilled into the middle of the earth.
That was so cool.
And he was like, "Come at me."
Yep.
Like, Kong's like, "All right, bet." And he just like,
he's like, "All right, it's time. Let's go." As soon as he jumped down that hole, I was like, "All right, it's time. It's time."
Yeah,
we're about to see him scrap.
Yeah, it's like the fight. It's like, all right, we got one fight with them. It wasn't really. I mean, it was a fight, but it was. I mean, hey, I mean, it's just.
Yeah, but the fight was cool. Like it had like a few shots in there, where like one of them got a good lick on the other one, but it was like creative monster combat. Like,
yeah,
he was jumping off of the buildings and give him the right hook.
It was good stuff.
Yeah, it was a good fight.
It really was.
I was hype.
Yeah, and the fact that, I mean, I really like, a lot of people say, oh, well, they were saying on Twitter, one of my friends was like, oh, well, it took humans to restart Kong's heart. And it's like, yeah, but it just shows that he's a fan favorite. I mean, like, am I right? Like, I mean, come on now. Like, I've seen these other humans helping out Godzilla that kind of way. They kind of did in King of the Monsters. They kind of give him like a nuclear boost because he was facing Ghidorah, and he wasn't dying, but he needed time to heal, and he has like this. His like we see where Godzilla goes when he like rests, and it's him absorbing radiation. But they pretty much like set off like a nuclear bomb to have him absorb all that. So I mean, it wasn't the same thing because Godzilla wasn't dying; he was just recovering. But it was. I still thought it was great. I mean, even the whole shoulder thing.
Yeah, and like, Kong wasn't necessarily dead yet either. He was dying, but that's why they needed the electric thing to restart.
Yeah, light up Vegas for a week.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, that. What's the actress's name who portrayed that character?
I forgot her name, but she's a really good actress.
She is, and she was in Baby Driver, and I loved her in that. Absolutely loved her in that. It was a really nice like Bonnie and Clyde dynamic going on with her and John Hamm. Loved it, 100%.
What did you think of her death?
I did not like her character at all. I thought her death was fucking hilarious. It literally, she's just sitting there in the thing. You see it in her face. She's like, oh, she knows she's gonna die. And Kong just looks at it and like looks away as he crushes it. This is beneath me.
Yeah. I love he literally looks him straight in the eye. He's like, oh, it's like that?
Yep. But it was like, he's like getting the cut of their jib, looking in the thing. He's like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's, yeah, I feel like, I mean, she's a phenomenal actress. It's just that, like, why was she in this movie? Just to show how evil she was? Because she was the daughter of the guy who made Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, I think it was somebody. It was a human character for Kong to kill.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, she's like, oh, shoot the monkey. I'm like, you have seen what affects this being and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So why?
Why would you just start shooting it? Yeah.
It's like, if you can't shoot at Superman, why would you resort to trying to punch him?
Yeah. And I feel like if she didn't shoot at it, she might have just gotten to slide on by,
Yeah, she probably would have still been alive, honestly. But it's like, I mean, taking the sample, whatever. But it was crazy.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't get too much of a like, if they want to take a sample, take a sample. I didn't see that as too evil. But then she like turned her guns on everybody, and
that was the number one. I was like, oh. Like, and it's like, obviously, yeah, like, okay, she's the evil one, shocker, whatever. But
yeah,
I wish she would have I wish there was more motive instead of just, oh, we want to create like this apex titan predator so that humans can be the apex predators again. So it's like Godzilla was fine until you built something, with that echolocation. I think they called it like, it was the Orca, which was like the name of the device in King of the Monsters. Okay. And it's kind of like, I feel like they built that into Mechagodzilla, and it's like, that's why he was attacking Apex. It's like, you kind of brought it on yourself. Like, that's why he was attacking humanity.
Yeah.
And, that's why they're trying to hide Kong away from the world and whatnot. But I mean, it was a great movie overall, man. Like, we could sit here and talk about it all day, but we have dinner reservations. Yeah. To where? I don't know. We got to call up our friends and see what's up. But I did want to wrap up here again. Wanted to thank Parker. His first feature episode here on the Film Optix podcast. It was great having you on. Parker's one of my best friends in the world. We kind of met on a whim in a way. Yeah,
it was a random roommate scenario that just ended up working out.
Thank God.
Which finding random roommates in Nashville, you really are flipping a coin.
Yeah.
It can go either way. We've all had bad roommate scenarios in our lives. But this is just one of those ones that worked out and sparked a lasting friendship.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so and to reply to what you said, it's been awesome to be on. I'm glad we could finally make this happen. I know we've been trying for a few weeks now. Was a little bummed that I wasn't able to get on for the Zack Snyder's Justice League review because I was a major fan of that, and I was actually over here watching it with you, Christian, on the couch when you got your screeners to see it, and it was good time, good movie.
He was literally on the edge of his seat, like honestly.
It was fantastic, especially like all the all the new stuff that they added in with Martian Manhunter. Those are just those awesome nerdy moments that make you just go, oh my god!
They did it. They finally did it. Pretty much. But yeah, let's get out of here. All you listeners out there, thank you for tuning in. We're going to be doing this a little bit more often. We just kind of wanted to throw this out here. My second podcast of the day. I'm drained. Not even from podcasting, just from pretty much
adulting.
Work, adulting and whatnot. But next week, we're going to be doing our weekly coverage of Invincible and of Falcon Winter Soldier. We were going to record Mortal Kombat, but that got pushed back a week. So that's coming out, I think, the 23rd of April.
That's the day after I get my second vaccine.
Ooh, I'm getting my first vaccine. No, it's in 2 weeks. So,
I see.
Yeah. Well, so Mortal Kombat is supposed to come out 2 weeks from now,
okay, but
it got pushed back a week. I'm still getting that vaccine tomorrow. Well, my first dose.
Very nice.
A lot of fun. It's time. And I was like, when should I get this and whatnot? But one of my friends
now 16 and up is available in Davidson County.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
It is. Okay. Yeah. That's probably why they hit me up. It's like, yo, get that vaccine.
Time.
It's like only if I get superpowers out of it. No.
Honestly, I had that same thought when I was sitting in my car. I was like,
please.
I'd be so sick if I just got super speed. Like if I got the Flash's powers.
That would be pretty sweet. You burn a lot of calories.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to eat a lot of calories too.
But I already eat like I'm overweight, and I literally look like a twig.
If only I had that metabolism. I used to, but it's starting to slow down. We're getting older, so
it's my little sadness pouch where I keep all of my sad feelings about the Bengals.
Kangaroo pouch.
It's where I store my extra cookies.
Oh man, but yeah, let's wrap up here for today and get out of here. So yeah, let's do it. And that's a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you all for listening, and make sure to check out the other shows over on MusicCityDrivein.com and subscribe to our show so you never miss an episode. That was Parker. My name is Christian, and we'll see you guys in the next one.